From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Thursday morning at 6 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. And good morning to Miller. Here we are. It's Thursday.
Thursday, getting closer and closer to the weekend. And did you like the weather last weekend? It's pretty nice, wasn't it?
That was amazing.
What do you say we try to do it all over again?
I'm all for it.
We may be able to make that happen, and we're going to tell you about that with the main forecast coming up in just a bit. Good morning, everyone. Now, as we take a live look from the rims across Billings, we're seeing some clouds out there, and we're seeing a little bit of haze. We may have to deal with some fog this morning, so just FYI, that shot courtesy of the Stockman Bank weather cam. 22 at the airport, feels like 10. The dew point's at 18, humidity at 85%, so we've got enough moisture out there where we could see some of that patchy fog. So keep that in mind as you're heading out the door this morning. Winds out of the northeast at about 12. Let's crunch some numbers. Yesterday, our highs and lows pretty much on par for this time of the season. We're going to see seasonal highs again today. But we're going to get milder as we move forward. Haven't seen any measurable rain or snow or precip at all for the month of March here in Billings. We're going to be dry through the weekend, but we may see some changes as we get into the first part of next week. Temperatures around the horn right now. Reed Point at 22. We've got Roundup at 23, Huntley at 25. My friends in Gardner down to 14 right now. Cody at 19 and Powell at 28. So after some clouds and maybe some fog this morning, a lot of sunshine today with some cloud cover, but we are going to stay dry with highs mainly in the 40s. High of 47 today here in Billings. We start off in the 20s. We get into the 40s by the time we get to lunchtime, hopefully, and then that sunshine warms us up into the mid to upper 40s a little bit later on today on this Johnny Appleseed Day.
And if you don't know much about him, it turns out that Disney actually made a short cartoon about him. So you can look this up online and watch it. It was made back in 1948. But Miller, I have a question for you.
Okay.
You're a religious man. Are you familiar with the Johnny Appleseed Grace song?
The what?
Okay, no.
The Johnny Appleseed what song?
Grace, like when you say grace.
Grace, okay,
at the dinner table.
Okay,
yes.
You have it?
So I'm not gonna sing it or say it right now. But
how about rap it? Can you rap it? No, I don't know.
Well, it's a song for kids. Like if the kids want to say Grace, they could do the Johnny Appleseed Grace song. So my nephew, Camden, when he was a little guy, we would say Grace and we'd do the Johnny Appleseed song. And, he would be the one to request it. But then after a while, it was me. And I was like, can we do Johnny Appleseed? And so it's just really cute.
Cool.
So
I'm going to have to look that up. I never heard of that.
Look up and a tradition for the family. Yeah.
Well, I asked on my Facebook page quickly, if you go to meteorologist Miller Robson, that's where you'll find it. What's your favorite fruit? Just a few more answers. Sally said fruit salad. Linda says strawberries, peaches, pineapples, and plums. Making me hungry this morning.
They're
ladies.
all good.
Good stuff.
They're all good. Yeah, my latest addiction, and someone at the gym I go to introduced this to me, but you take some frozen blueberries, put them in a bowl, and you pour some almond milk, unsweetened almond milk over it, and you just eat it. Oh my gosh, it's like ice cream.
Very nice. Something else I can try today.
Yes. All right, Miller, now that I'm hungry, I will get to the news.
Okay.
Thanks. Today marks 1 year since COVID-19 was declared a global pandemic by the World Health Organization. When the declaration was made, there were just over 121,000 cases worldwide and 4,000 plus deaths. The virus has since killed well over 500,000 people across the U.S. and taken some 2.6 million lives around the world. Now, almost 1 in 10 Americans have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19, and the efficiency of the vaccination process is only ramping up. President Joe Biden says every American will have access to a shot in the next 2 months. Today, President Biden will lay out the next steps for the U.S. response to the pandemic. President Biden says he will use tonight's primetime address to explain what his administration is doing and what he expects Americans to do to recover. He also announced plans for the administration to buy 100 million additional doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. You'll be able to watch tonight's speech at 6 o'clock right here on Q2. Tomorrow, the president is expected to sign his nearly $2 trillion COVID relief plan into law. The Democrat-controlled House and Senate both passed it with no Republican votes. The bill includes checks of up to $1,400 for Americans making less than $75,000 per year. It also extends the weekly $300 in federal unemployment benefits through early September. Closer to home, Yellowstone County announced a plan for its first shipment of 1,000 single-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccines. The doses will go to people who might have a hard time making it to a second appointment. The group includes homebound individuals, the homeless, residents of senior living facilities, and jail or prison inmates. So far, over 47,000 Yellowstone County residents have been given their first shot of the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Over 19,000 are fully vaccinated. And for one night, the Billings Howl is returning. To mark a year of the pandemic, Billings is honoring those affected by the pandemic with a community howl on Friday night at 8 o'clock. Everyone is encouraged to go outside and howl in honor of those who have worked tirelessly this past year to keep our community healthy and safe. Moderna is testing out its potential COVID-19 vaccine boosters for protecting from emerging virus variants. Though the Moderna vaccine was shown to provide protection against virus variants, it did show a six-fold decrease in the antibody response against the South African variant. 60 participants who were already vaccinated with Moderna's original COVID-19 vaccine will be given a booster. COVID-19 was first identified in Wuhan, China. Some say Chinese authorities didn't do enough to stop its spread early on. CBS's Ian Lee has more on that and how the rest of the world is dealing with the pandemic.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year! When China welcomed 2020 with elaborate celebrations, a deadly virus was spreading behind the scenes. Critics say Chinese authorities worked harder to suppress information about COVID-19 than to contain it. The World Health Organization maintains it issued early warnings, but countries didn't listen.
Yes, maybe we need to shout louder, but maybe some people need hearing aids.
It took months for the WHO to declare a pandemic, and by then it was already too late. The virus hit Italy early and hard, triggering the first nationwide lockdown outside of China. Italian hospitals were overwhelmed as morgues overflowed. 40% of the residents in the village of Nembro died from the coronavirus within a month. Ciao. A year later, nursing homes are allowing visits again, but it's not the same. Some countries learned from Italy's tragedy and locked down quickly. Australia and New Zealand largely averted disaster and have returned to some semblance of normalcy, while other nations waited and paid the price. Here in the UK, more than 125,000 people are dead, while the country endures its third lockdown.
I am deeply sorry for every life that has been lost, and of course, as Prime Minister, I take full responsibility for everything that the government has done.
Sweden rolled the dice without any restrictions, hoping for herd immunity, only later to admit it was a mistake. Salvation from the virus eventually came in little bottles. The UK and Israel now lead the world in vaccinations, but much of Europe, Asia, Africa, and South America struggle with shortages of shots. Health officials warn that until everyone is vaccinated, the dangers of the pandemic can't be cured. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
Investigators from the World Health Organization spent nearly a month in China, but still haven't pinpointed the origins of the virus. Well, no one looks forward to seeing those orange cones on the highway showing construction ahead. But as Q2's Russ Riesinger reports, a major project that will get underway this fall will bring some much needed changes to a portion of I-90.
It's called the I-90 Yellowstone River Project, and it will mean big improvements to an approximate 2.6-mile stretch of the interstate between the 27th Street Exchange and the Lockwood Exchange, adding a third lane in each direction.
So the purpose of the project is for to be able to accommodate increased capacity, future traffic operations, and safety overall for the infrastructure of I-90.
The project also includes reconstruction of two bridges that cross the Yellowstone River and a railroad spur line. You'll recall the westbound bridge was the scene of a huge pileup less than 2 weeks ago that involved approximately 30 vehicles. While construction preps begin this fall, the real work won't kick into gear until the following year.
So season one of the existing bridges will be removed and demolished, and all the traffic on the interstate will be shifted over into what's considered a head-to-head configuration, so a single lane of traffic in each direction going across the other existing bridge, while a new bridge is built where the first one was demolished. And then over the wintertime, go back to its original or its existing configuration, so it's not head-to-head traffic throughout the winter. And then in the second construction season, just be the vice versa configuration of that.
The amount of traffic coming over this bridge has grown considerably since it was built back in the 1960s. Adding a lane on each side will help with that and make it a lot safer.
Along with 3 lanes going each way, another big difference is that there will be a 10-foot shoulder on both sides of the road in each direction.
Yeah, just the widening of 3 lanes, accommodating additional traffic, the overall congestion, also having wider shoulders. It's meeting current design standards, so both on the interstate itself and across the bridges.
The new bridge span is also being designed so that the piers minimize any impact to the water in the river below. Improvements will also be made at the 2 interchanges on that stretch of the interstate.
There are ramp modifications being done for both, primarily the off ramps at both 27th Street and Lockwood Interchange, having actually dual exit ramp there to accommodate the increase in traffic that's experienced at those interchanges.
It will definitely mean some slowdowns in the coming years for drivers before the entire project is expected to be completed in 2024.
They do take time to make long-lasting improvements to the overall infrastructure. The goal is that these infrastructure improvements are very long-lasting far into the future.
In Billings, I'm Russ Riesinger reporting for MTN News.
And to learn more details about the project, you can visit this story on ktvq.com. Now we go to Butte, where town pump officials are working to clean up a large diesel fuel spill that's threatening to leak into nearby Blacktail Creek. On January 30th, about 485 gallons of diesel spilled at the gas station from an accidental overfill by the fuel delivery truck. Some of the gas flowed into storm drains. Engineers put down booms to capture the fuel to prevent it from leaking into Blacktail Creek.
We will have everything remediated to 100%. We'll be removing soil and replacing that and hauling that to appropriate areas. And everything as part of the remediation plan is subject to approval by the Department of Environmental Quality.
It will be several more weeks before the remediation is complete. In national news, the Biden administration is grappling with a growing number of migrant children arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border. The White House says it's trying to work out a more efficient and humane system, but critics say the new policies are directly responsible for the influx. CBS's Natalie Brand has the latest.
Felipe Figueroa says he left his native Guatemala because of the insecurity there. We came for the American dream, he says, and to ask for asylum. His family is part of a surge of migrants now trying to cross the U.S. border. Under a pandemic health rule, families are still being turned away, but not children showing up on their own. That includes more than 3,200 unaccompanied children in Border Patrol custody as of Monday, according to data obtained by CBS News. Advocacy groups, including Kids in Need of Defense, have staffers on the ground.
We're worried about kids spending long amounts of time in those Border Patrol stations because they're absolutely not appropriate for children.
The Biden administration has reopened a federal facility to house the children while officials are trying to get a handle on messaging.
The border is not open. Going forward, we will continue to look for ways to provide legal avenues in the region for people needing protection while we continue to enforce our laws.
The administration also announced it's restarting a program to allow some minors in Central America the opportunity to apply for refugee resettlement from their home countries.
They can ask right there without having to make the journey. So that's one, going to be safer for the kids, and two, it's going to relieve a lot of this pressure.
Republicans are blaming the surge at the border on the Biden administration's policies.
To name a few: reinstating catch and release, repealing funding for the border wall, re-empowering sanctuary cities, and rescinding the stay in Mexico policy.
A group of House Republicans is planning to travel to Texas next week. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
The White House is asking for $4 billion over the next 4 years to address the situation. Well, 3 endangered pallid sturgeon fish now live in the aquarium at Cabela's here in Billings. Pallid sturgeon are one of the oldest species of fish and have been around for millions of years. They are a rare sight to see even in captivity. It took Cabela's 10 months to file all the necessary paperwork with local and federal governments before they were allowed to bring the fish to the store. The pallid sturgeon were introduced to the main aquarium yesterday. They were separated in a different tank for 30 days before they could join the other fish.